Ford. I am the owner, operator, and trainer for Final Expense Agent Mentor. And I want to thank you for taking your time today to learn a little bit more about the opportunity that you inquired on. The reason I sent you to this video is because twofold. I value my time and I value yours, and I want you to understand exactly how working with the Final Expense Agent Mentor program works, so that before we decide to speak, you have a good idea whether or not it's for you or if it isn't, in an environment where you can learn about it, see if it makes sense for you, and decide for yourself if, number one, the final expense business is really suitable for you, and then number two, whether or not it's suitable, in your opinion, to work with me. So I'm going to ask you to listen to this video. If you find at any course that this isn't for you, that's no problem. We're all the wiser, and you don't have to spend a lot of time determining if this is something that you would ultimately like to pursue. Now, I will say this as a caveat. I'm assuming that you have done a little bit of research on the final expense business. You may have seen ads on Craigslist or other job boards for a variety of different final expense burial insurance careers. Now, understand that if you haven't, a lot of this will probably be brand new to you, which is still okay, because after this video, there's a lot of information about how this business works and what you need to know if you are serious about pursuing a career in the burial insurance business, of what you need to know about how agencies recruit you and ultimately shortchange you in a lot of scenarios. So this will be useful for that. But where I'm really trying to direct this to is someone who's really looking for the truth, who wants all the facts so that they can make an educated decision whether really this business is for them or it isn't. And in this particular presentation, I'm going to start off by telling you really what the realities of this business are, because again, if you decide to work with me, and if I decide to work with you, relationships would be based on a matter of trust. Now let's go ahead and check this out. After that, we're going to get into really the fundamentals of the business and what's exciting about it. But now for the unadulterated truth. So the reality of final expense is this. Final expense, for 99% of the agents out there, is a lead-driven business. Okay? So 1% may cold call door to door, but the truth is most agents depend upon fresh leads in order to succeed in this business. And yes, if you want to buy leads, you're going to have to pay your own money. There's several reasons for it, but ultimately it allows you to make the most money and control your destiny that much better. The average lead expense for my program and most of the other ones out there is about $500 to $600 a week. And so you have to have some skin in the game to be in this business. And the key word there is business. This isn't a career in the sense of a 9-to-5 corporate job. You are running your own business here. And every business needs some sort of capital investment. And with final expense business, it's all about the leads, making sure that you've continually invested in leads so that you can ensure that you're actually going to see people who are interested in this product. If you can't afford leads, the next step is to cold call door to door. And truthfully, that does take 20 to 30 doors a day that you have to door knock. Some very small agents actually cold call. Hard to do this in this business anymore because of the lack of people on the list that you can talk to. But basically, bottom line is if you can't afford to invest the minimum a week in a lead program, your best bet is to look at another career altogether, because that's really what's required, especially if you don't want a cold door knock to start off. All right, point 2, you must be a licensed life insurance agent to work in this business. So that means that you have to go down online, find a training course for your state, and basically learn the ins and outs of life insurance. You don't have to do life insurance and health insurance. You can just start off in life insurance. That's what I did. And then go sit for the test after you learn it. If you cram over a weekend, you can get the pre-training done and then schedule an examination next week or two. If you've got a job and family, it's going to take you a week or two to get it completed. So make sure that you do that first before you reach out. Or if you're very close to taking the test, feel free, if all of the rest of this makes sense, to reach out to me then. Your credit history is a factor to contracting with carriers. Now, we have to understand with the life insurance business, when you get appointed as a producer, most likely you're going to take what's called an advance. So when you sell a policy, the company will pay you basically unsecured credit or loan you the money that you'll eventually earn. So there was a financing risk there because if the business quits or lapses or cancels within that period of time, you owe a portion of that money back that they didn't pay in. So what happens is it's basically a loan. And anytime you take a loan out, your credit history is always a factor. Now, it's not to say that it's impossible. If you've had bankruptcies, charge-offs, in certain circumstances, that's okay. But they will take that stuff into consideration. So, if you're going through bankruptcy right now, you won't want to go bother with the business, the life insurance business. They won't take you. If you've got recent charge-offs, especially big ones, they won't talk to you. But if it's been a couple of years since all that's happened, you're going to do okay. Even if your credit's not great, the main thing is they're looking for the events that are very recent that would cause someone to draw concern on loaning you any kind of money. Next here is you must be willing to work hard and handle a never-ending onslaught of rejection. If you're in sales, you get that. You know that for every sale you make, there's so many people that's going to reject you or not talk to you, pretend you don't exist. If you're new to sales, you have to understand that you've got to have tenacity. You have to anticipate that most people don't want to deal with you. And that rejection is not really personal. It's just that they don't have an interest in what you're selling. So it's really important to understand that because that's how this business is. And it's easy to logically understand that, especially if you've never done that. But until you experience it, that's when the reality sets in, that it does get frustrating, especially if you've had a couple days of no sales and you've done everything right. So you have to have the mental tenacity and commitment, even when things go south, to work through it and continue working hard. Most importantly, you must be coachable, because know-it-alls are not tolerated working with me. And what I mean by coachable is this, is you'll find out I have a program that you can plug into. It's easy to implement as long as you understand you're going to invest in leads and you're going to work your butt off. And you have to take the advice that I give, because I've been through the ups and downs of this business. I'm extremely successful, run a large agency, work with a lot of successful agents. So I know how you can succeed in this business and make as much money as you'd like to. And the last thing I have time for are people who are going to try to tell me, who have no experience in this business, how to run this business. So I discourage you, if you're confrontational or if you want to try to run the program. If you're a tinkerer, if you work with me, you've got to learn to shut that drive off. You have to focus on listening to me, your mentor, to help you to become successful so that you can really experience what you want to do, which is get financial success and freedom without having a boss. And lastly, I do want to point out, even with training in a program, working with me, 90% of all agents will fail within the first year. And I'm telling you this not to scare you, but so that you understand the reality of working in a business, in a sales environment, on straight commission. This is a tough business, and it takes tough people to succeed in this business. Because right now, I know if you've been researching this business, everybody's selling you the 4-hour work week making 6 figures a week. I'm here to tell you that's a bunch of crap. All right? And you have to be willing to work extremely hard, work through the frustrations, but continue to buy the leads. Because as you get better, that's when things really start to piece together and you experience massive levels of success. So again, I want to go over all this with you so you know what you're getting into. If it doesn't make sense to you at this point, go ahead and close the video and look for something else that'll work best for you. But if all this, after I've discussed this with you, if you're still curious, let's continue on and learn more about the business itself. So let's talk about the fundamentals of final expense. First of all, look, baby boomers are a huge population. They've got lots of money, and they're all turning, 10,000 of them each day is turning 65 for the next 20 years. The point is there's a fundamental shift in the age range of America, and this is across the border from sea to shining sea. On top of that, life insurance ownership is at its lowest point in 60 years. So not only do we have a bunch of old people, but all these old people don't have life insurance to take care of final expenses. And there's some reasons for that, largely because the market shifted towards life insurance purchasing through the place of work. But with people retiring or getting disabled, they lose that coverage. And so, boom, pops in a need and something for us to fill. And then to add additional concern, funeral expenses are increasing dramatically with each passing decade. It used to be in the 90s, a funeral would run, on average, $5,000 to $7,000. Now in the 20s, 2000s, 2010s, you're looking at funeral prices in some areas, $7,000 is the minimum, but in a lot of areas, $10,000 to $12,000 is pretty much normal. So, and seniors are aware of this. They know people are dying, and they know that the price is going up. And that's really the key last point, is that everybody dies. This is a product in which nobody can escape. There is always going to be an expense to croak. Whether you get cremated, whether you get buried, or whether you need to replace income after you die. The point is that people, the millions out there, don't have enough ownership of life insurance, or getting older and know they're going to die, which is where we come in and can provide a product that can solve that problem. Now, that's the thing. Like I said, the burial insurance market is extremely huge, like we've talked about. There's multi-millions of people to sell to, and it's growing every day. Many people have no coverage, which is kind of what we've been cluing in on, that 60% figure. But also, you find a lot of people don't have enough coverage, that they could use some more. And maybe they've had a policy for a long time and can add additional coverage to it. Or, just as important, a lot of people have the wrong kind of coverage. And the skilled agent, like you'll learn how to become, can replace that coverage so they can make even more sales on improving their lot, improving what they have, so it improves the value of their life insurance. Now, the final expense market is what I would call the Joe six-pack market. You're not going to talk to white-collar professionals. You're not going to talk to mid-level managers or corporations. Joe six-pack, your typical average everyday American, is your typical prospect. And you can find Joe six-pack pretty much in rural areas, small towns, blue-collar areas, urban areas. They're everywhere. There are millions of people probably right around your doorstep who would be the perfect prospect for this stuff. And that's what's great about it, is there's so many people, so many types of these people that are out there that you can find them with relative ease. Now, and what's great is if you use the correct marketing system, you're generating leads so you don't have to cold call. So it turns the emphasis of solicitation on its head, meaning you're not the pesky, unwelcome pest, you're the welcome guest. They sent the card in. They're the ones requesting the information. They're the ones that know they need this stuff, and it places you in a position of being the expert. Now, it's not always that perfect all the time, but generally speaking, a lead program, which is what I advocate and teach you how to use, allows for that to happen so that you're in control and you're in power, and you can help these people out. Make a good living doing it too. Now, Why would you work with Final Expense Agent Mentor? Well, there's a couple of reasons. So first of all, I'm a big believer in what I would call the guild system. If you're unfamiliar with what the guild system was, back in the 1800s and 1900s, early 1900s, a lot of professions out there would do what's called apprenticeships. You would work with a master craftsman, whether it was a plumber, construction person, automobile professional, and you would learn the craft for many years. And you would be an apprentice. And as you learned it and got to the point of mastering it, you would move on and start your own business or work for somebody else. And so, to me, that's how life insurance is. You don't have to be an academic genius to sell this stuff. You don't even have to be Mr. Suave or charismatic salesperson to be successful doing this. What you need is somebody who can show you the way in a very focused manner on what to do, how to do it, and how to be consistent and committed so that you are successful in the long run. And that's what makes Final Expense Agent Mentor special. You see, the person talking right now is the person you'd be working with. You're going to actually deal with me, who gets out there every single day and sells the same products just like you. And that's important because in this business, there's a ton of managers or agency owners who don't do anything. They haven't sold in years. And so their experience, while it's better than nothing, of course, is not relevant per se. They don't have the pulse of the market. They have the pulse of their office. And so you don't get the same level of in the trenches relation as you would working with me, because I deal with all the same things that you will deal with. And I understand this business as it moves and as it shifts from year to year because I'm committed to continue selling on a full-time basis. Secondly, working with Final Expense Agent Mentor, you get the flexibility and income maximizations of an independent agent. Now, again, this is why I have these multiple videos coming up, because there's a huge scam if you're not careful if you get involved with the wrong companies. They make you focus on one particular carrier at the behest of your customers and at the behest of you. And what happens is your income is shunted, and your edge and likelihood of success is dramatically reduced. So with me, you're what's known as an independent agent. I'll let that video describe more of that. That's in the following video, The Truth About the Final Expense Industry. But what you get with me is you get the advantage of being get the advantage of being an independent agent, which is defined as somebody who has access to multiple carriers. You see, you'll find out as you get involved in this business, a lot of the people we deal with have had health issues, whether chronic or a one-time event like heart issues. You're going to find that people are in all sorts of health situations, and the last thing you want to be is constrained with one carrier about offering not only the best coverage but at the best price. As an independent agent, you'll have access to several different carriers and more as you get more experience. So when you come across a client, you can place them with the best price plan that also gives the best value, which is incredibly important because you don't want someone like me coming in behind you after you made the sale to replace you because I can do a better job on price or better job on coverage. This alone will make a tremendous difference in your income and as well as how well a job you do with your clients. Third here, you maximize both your short-term and long-term income earning potential. And what that means is that with me, as you'll find out in these videos upcoming, there's a lot of programs that sell you on the wonderfulness of this business, but they don't tell you how commissions are really set as an independent agent and what you could be making. I sell you on one moment. I sell you on the beauty of financial freedom and not working for anybody in particular, but they don't get to the specifics of what really matters in the long run, which is why I'm taking the time to educate you in this video. what you have to understand is a lot of these carriers will short term your upside on what your commission rates are. And you got to be careful of that, because if you get involved with that, you're going to find that you're going to get the short end of the stick. And so with me, as you'll find out, I start people off on a pretty good commission level relative to where the other ones are. And then once you hit a quota for issued business, I move you to a full, very high street level commission. And it's important that you understand that, because most of these other guys will never even talk about this and will basically be taking money off your table that you can't give to your family and give to yourself that you've earned, because the greed factor in this business is tremendous. So this is extremely important, because not only are you getting the short-term advantages of training, but you're also securing the long-term advantages of knowing you'll make the most that you can. Lastly, my program's no BS, straightforward program to design to help you to achieve your potential. Hopefully that's obvious at this point. I'm looking for people who want to work hard, who are interested in success, and want to do what it takes to follow the system and apply themselves so that they realize really what they're capable of. And this program's not designed to fleece you. It's not designed to shortchange you. It's designed to apprentice you to become a successful salesperson in the life insurance business selling burial insurance, but also to help you long term to make this into a career, not an easy money, short term thing, to get you going so that you can live the life that you want to live. Now, if you are interested in moving forward, there's some things that you need to do first before we set up a phone call to discuss more of working together. The reason I do this is this. I want you, again, first of all, you need to be fully educated about what it's like in the final expense business, what the secrets are that you need to know about before you pick the wrong place and get screwed, for lack of a better word. And then you also need to hear from the horse's mouth, if you will, agents that have worked with me that have been successful, so you can get an inside scoop of what it's like to work with me and what advantages there really are, not from me per se, but from the people who are successful that's worked with me. And it does take some time to do this, but if you're really looking on transitioning to this as a full-time career or even a part-time career, you need to take the time to do the research up front so that when we do talk, you're pretty confident that everything is to your liking and sounds good. And just as important, as you could probably tell, I'm pretty busy too with the work that I do in the field as well as working with my agents. I don't have time to field a dozen phone calls a day from people who are marginally interested. So I want you to take your time to determine if this is really truly something you're interested in. And if you've gotten this far, you probably have some level of interest, so watching these videos is going to help that much more. So go ahead, once you're done with this video, check out the 3 videos that are below this on my homepage. You'll see the Truth About Final Expense Industry video, and then the interview with Chip and Michael. Listen to all of it. Take it all in. It's extremely informative, and it's going to give you a lot of insight on how my program works from people who actually have gone through it. Once you're done there, if you're still interested and you like what you hear, you'll find below the videos a contact form. I'm going to ask you several questions. Please answer them in its entirety. That's going to help me talk to you and conversate more efficiently. And then what will happen is we'll set up an email, or I'll email you to set up a time so we can have a phone consultation to discuss the program more in depth. And with that said, I appreciate you listening to this. And if you decide to continue forward, I look forward to speaking with you once you listen to the videos. Take care.